everyone, it's Angie Green. Welcome. I hope you enjoy this next tutorial. It's going to be an acrylic painting of the cone flower. This one's going to be done in mixed media, so stick around. Now I'm going to put the cone flower with chalk onto the canvas on the green background. So now I'm going to put a more background, another layer of background into this painting. This is yellow ochre. Just dry brushing a little on here. Give it a little bit of depth. I like that. Add phthalo blue. Phthalo blue, and I'm mixing it with a little white. And a touch of the yellow ochre. And then here's some of my phthalo blue here. And so you see what's happening. It's giving it more of an abstract color here. And a little bit more. And a little white. I need a touch of water here. It's gotten too dry. There we go. Okay. Are you able to see that? Oh, it looks really weird to you, I know. I can see it on the monitor. But when you start seeing the flower show through, painting around it just a bit. Okay. And then I have to, I really want blue in here because this is going to be close to right here, the cone part. So I want to distinguish between the cone and the background, you know, that light and dark. So if the cone is going to have a lot of gold in it, then I don't want around the cone to have a lot of gold in it. Okay. So that's what this is about. All right. Touch more water. And I just want to work around it. Okay, I'm going to come up from this side. And this is my working this in a little bit. This yellow ochre is pretty translucent, which makes it nice. Because I don't want it too heavy of a color on here. Okay, so now I'm going to work that flower in. Quinacridone Magenta is really what it is. There is a Quinacridone red, but that's not what I'm using. And this is turning out to be rather pink. Okay, which is what I wanted. You can go peachier if you want to and use the Cad Red, and that'll give you a little peachier color because of the oranginess in there. But I really like the magenta. I've had these cone flowers in the garden before. Before moving to Pennsylvania, I grew more flowers then. I had a little courtyard, quite a bit right here. And it lent itself to flowers. It was fun, it was easier. It wasn't like a big old garden you had to work. If you put flowers in every year, it made it a little bit easier. And my flowers were more annuals. So I didn't have to do a lot of thinning, which that's a lot of work. Okay. This is the bottom layer, and then I'm going to put a little bit of a lighter, shorter petals on top of these. These are my longer ones, my longer petals, my first layer of petals. I'm not necessarily following my chalk line. And according to my reference, the way they have it, they have the lighter on the bottom showing more of the light, and the top one's more pink. So I kind of like that idea. I'm going to go ahead and go with that. The photographer's perception. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna really want to go too. I don't want to be too chunky with these leaves, with these petals. And I want to, now I have a dark there, I really want to bring that light out, that white out right here. Because this is my light source, remember? So I'm going to put that right here. There we go. All right, and then I put some more flowers here. Let's see. This is going to look thinner as we go closer to the top here. I have a thinner look to these. All right. Put a little more white on here. The sun kiss it a little bit. Let the sun kiss this one. Okay. Rolling into my desk. And then right here. Okay. I'm liking that. Starting to look a little bit more coneflower-ish. Okay. A little lip, upward lip on that. Put a little bit of a striation there. I might work with this a little bit as it dries. Okay. And then let's see. I like to put one that's got just a tad of blue in it. What did I do with my blue? That's a green. Okay. So I just really wasting my paint here, but I just stuck some bluish, little tinge of blue in here that I'm going to put on part of this petal. You see that? And then I'm going to add, as this dries, I'm going to add the pink to it. I just don't want to cover it up. I'm going to go for more of the pink and white now. Right here. This is showing a little darker. I think it might be underneath. I just want to have a little bit of that upward, happy little upward slant to it. It's a happy flower. Okay, and I want to have a little happiness here. Okay, now for here I'm going to do just what I talked about before, and that has like a little bit of a bluish tint to it. I don't want to take away from the pink though. So I have, my brush is purposely a little dirty and I have a little both on there. Get out of your way. So I'm gonna put a little bit more red in here. Or I should say magenta, I don't want to confuse you. Okay, and a little bit more here. And then again here. Okay, and a little bit here. Throw some white in here. Okay. All right. Okay, that's good. Okay. And then this poor little guy that looks so blue, let me whiten him up a little bit. Why is he blue? Van Gogh kind of throws a little something in there sometimes. Or I should say through. A little surprise color in there sometimes. Okay, that looks a little bit better. I think I have too many petals, but that's okay. This is my cone flower. Doesn't have to be everybody's cone flower. Now, this has a dark, and I don't know if you can see the cone, but it looks dark underneath. And all I'm going to do is brighten it up quite a bit. So I'm going to use some yellow, and I'm going to use some orange, some red, and make an orange. sure hope one of these years Golden will change their tops, because it sure seems like people have talked about that for a long time. Golden's tops and how hard they are to get open. Um, I'm in that club. I would love them for them to make that easier. Okay, so I mixed some cad yellow and some. Was it cad yellow? Might have been Hansa yellow. I think it was Hansa yellow and some cad red to start shaping this cone up a little bit. Can't leave the cone out of the cone flower. So here I am making my little cone. Part of my cone flower. Okay. Okay. There you go. Okay. I'm going to go out here a little bit more. And out here a little bit more. Okay. I'm liking that. Now I'm going to take this white and dip it into my orange and make that sun-kissed. Okay, that's sun-kissed now. Okay, then I'm going to take some of this Quinacridone Magenta and make that, work that in there too. Okay, I'm liking that a lot. Same brush, I just flipped it over to the wrong corner. It's the brush I'm using normally is shaped in a slant. Okay, well, I'll put it where you can see it. There you go. And I flipped it around to this corner when I was putting my dots on my cone. Okay. There. So that's my cone flower there. I might put, I'm not sure. I think I might come down a little bit more down here into it. Okay. And therefore, because I did that, then I need to dip down into here a little bit more too. Down into the flower a little bit. Okay. Okay, I'm liking it. Like it a lot. Okay, I'm liking that a lot. I could go into the green. I might. I think I will go into the green because I lost some of my green and go back into this again. Go back in. I'm flipping it around because I don't want it too dotty and I don't want it too liney. So I'm flipping my brush around so that it doesn't have such a pattern to it. I'm not into the patterns as much. I like the gist. I like the general gist of it. And then I like my Quinacridone, so I'm going to put that back in there. Okay. I lost some of my orange, so I definitely want my orange back in there. Scooch it around on here. Definitely want my orange back in there. Oh. A little bit more yellow. Okay, I like that. I think that's pretty. All right. Now, I'm going to stop with this and let this dry, and then I'll come back to this again. I'm going to turn this into a mixed media now. I'm going to be using matte medium to stick on my little applique. I poured it in this little pot, and this is what it originally came in. Okay, so I'm going to be putting my butterflies on here, and I'm going to paint the back of my butterflies with my matte medium. I'm going to put my background ones, the ones farther away, up in this direction. I'm going to put the smaller ones there just so that they look a little farther away. So right now I'm painting the back of them. I'm using just a little cup holder from the dollar store that still has plastic on it. So I'm really not worried about messing this up at all. I'm kind of funny when it comes to messes. You know, I can have a big mess, but little messes bug me. It's kind of funny. Okay, so I'm putting my little, oh, my butterfly that tore in half, but it's not going to matter because I'm going to be painting over it anyway. So I'm putting that this direction so that it's in the more farther away in the distance. So I'm putting it back together again. There we go. You can't tell it fell apart. And then I'm going to take this matte medium and paint over it just to secure it on here. Okay. I feel a little bit better now that I started the process. It took me a while. And these are just butterflies that I took off the internet. They're free printables. So judging from the name of them, they are not copyrighted, or the people who came up with these aren't worried about people using them, because that would defeat the purpose of why they put them on there as printables, free printables. And when it says free, it usually attracts my attention. I'm going to put this one right about here, and I cut this out, so it was impossible to keep the, paint this on a little bit better. It was impossible to keep the antennae. So I'll have to just draw that on or paint that on. And again, I'm painting this over the top too with the matte medium. I'm starting to like this now. I had to get over it with putting my first one on there. These are little butterflies with French writing on them. I think it's French. A little script on there. And I put the one that's sideways on the petal. I'm going to be putting this one someplace random. Let me use this to make sure I spread it out better. So I'm painting the back of it again with matte medium. Not exactly positive where I'm going to put it, so I'm going to just, let's see, right about, maybe I'll go this direction with this one. Right about here. This looks good. Okay. Oh. Okay. Put that on a little more liberally. I'm liking it. That looks happy. Oops. Now I'm going to add some script to the mixed media painting here. I tried with the foam to cut out some letters, and I don't really think that works well with script, so I mixed together some regular gel semi-gloss. I mixed it with Quinacridone Magenta to make a thicker consistency. You see right here? And I'm going to, I put chalk lettering on here, Fleur for the flower, and I'm going to add the magenta, the Quinacridone Magenta, the thickened Quinacridone Magenta to the script here that I have in chalk. So I'm just going to just wing it with my own writing here. And what I like about acrylic paintings is that if it doesn't work, I could just do something else over it and it's okay. I have to tell myself it's not the end of the world, it's okay. We'll just try this and hope it works out. Looks like I'm going to have to do two different applications on here. So okay, that's the le. I don't know about my pronunciation, but my accent might be a little lacking. I did take French back in junior high school until it got hard. Then I was done with it. So my joke is that I speak French with no verbs. It would be embarrassing in a country where French is spoken. But I would do my best. Okay, so that is sort of my F. Round it a little bit. Okay. So far, not terrible. And then my L. Not too bad. Okay, I want this to run together a little bit more, like cursive writing. Yeah, so I've been hearing that cursive writing is no longer taught in school. Really? No, I just don't understand that because to me, that's all part of fine motor skills that you would be teaching children. Fine motor skills. What happened to that? And what's the reason behind it? If anyone knows, I would love to know. What is the reason behind not teaching cursive writing in school anymore? Might do a little bit of something on the edges here of these. Kind of like that too. make them stand out a little bit. I also might just go over them a little bit. That kind of helped, really. That made them become a little bit more three-dimensional. I'm liking that. I don't know if I like it on the butterfly as much. Okay. I know, I don't like to get my hands messy. That's an issue. But there's things to solve that called rags. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm liking that. Now let's see, what else can I do to bring this out? It looks like I need something on the bottom, and I'm not quite sure what I need on the bottom. I do have more script that I could use to kind of pull it together. Not exactly sure in which way I could actually apply the script. I have to think about that one. But so far, I'm enjoying this. I really am. I'm going to paint over this with something. I'm going to make it just kind of come together a little bit. And I might thicken this flower up a little bit too with some gel. May outline it. Let's see what I can do. I have plenty left. That's one thing about gel. Let me add some of my titanium white. Gel does stretch your paint quite a bit, which I tend to forget sometimes. So if you ever get in a pinch and you only have a little bit of a color, gel does definitely stretch it. And it may be a good thing to use when you paint the sides of your painting as well, because you don't have to use as much. And think about it. Do you really want to waste all your paint on the sides, on the side edges of your canvas? I know I don't, so I should try to remember that. Okay, so I'm mixing a little bit of titanium white with this Quinacridone Magenta that I have gel added to, so it's a little thicker. And I'm gonna go ahead and add that. Well, maybe a little bit more of the Quinacridone. Add a little of that to here. Give it a little more texture. This is what members of the Painting with Fibromyalgia group have been asking for. They've been asking for painting with more texture to it, with possibly some lettering. So this is one that we're playing with, that we could probably do something with for that. Flowers are pretty good for that. Adding texture. We could use a palette knife for this flower, but since I didn't, I'm just going to go over part of it with the gel combined with acrylic paint and see if we get the same effect. We do have a similar effect to if I use the palette knife. I'm liking it. So I'm using the darker where I used the dark shades before. I'm trying not to be too mechanical with it because I don't want to lose the spontaneity of the picture, of the painting. Okay. Add a little bit of white where I need some white. This is pretty thick on this brush. I have a small brush here. I want it to be a little thick on there because I don't want it to be just as flat as if I didn't have the texture on here. So, and I add a little bit more color where I need it. I could always go over it with a little bit more color here. And like I said, this really spreads out quite a bit, so I feel like it's kind of a good idea to add this texture in this way. I'll put a little bit more texture here, a little more color there. And like I said, it's kind of globbed on this brush, but it works as far as the effect goes. All right, I'm putting a little bit more here. Really globbing it on, similar to if I had a palette knife. Liking that. Okay. I didn't bother the ones at the bottom yet, the parts that have more white in it. I'll get to that later. I don't want to keep going back and forth with the white and the pink. I might as well conserve and use what I have on the brush right now. So right now it's a little bit of a darker pink. It just crossed over there. That's okay. I'm going to be going that direction anyway. And here I have a little bit of a softer color on here, so I mixed it with some titanium white, and I matched it up pretty good. Okay, and then here the same. I want a little bit more thickness there. Okay, here I noticed I have more titanium white, so I have more titanium white on my brush. Okay, and again, I still have the underneath coat of Quinacridone because it has more of a gel in it, and then I have the white on the edge. So that's why it's coming out nice and light here, but it's a bit too light, so I'm just darkening it just a little bit of a mix. Okay, and then while I have that light, I'm going to take advantage of that and come down here a little bit more and give this a little bit more of a texture. And again, okay. I really am enjoying this process here. Giving this a little bit more texture. Okay. All right. And I keep going around here doing the same thing, just globbing a little bit on, giving it a little bit more texture, okay? Just globbing a little bit more on. And it's really making it stand out nicely. A little bit more. Giving it a little bit more of a crispness to it. Okay, it's really, you know what, because I thought it would give it more of a translucent effect, I'm a little bit surprised that it's actually doing the opposite. In this case, it's brightening it up quite a bit. Okay, and then I'm going to come back and get a little bit more of this Quinacridone color, the magenta color, and come back and cover that so that that's a direct route there to the cone, and then get the pinker one and do the same thing, the light pink, and go back to the cone. There, we had crossed over earlier, if you remember. Okay, and I want those to still be in the background, okay? Really enjoying that. That really looks good. Now, this has a little, this has quite a bit of blue in it. I'll knock that back a little bit. Some of that blue is a little too much. Okay. There again, a little more texture. Okay. All right. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Okay. So there I added texture to the flower. Didn't really lose anything by doing that. I did gain a little more than I lost, that's for sure. And I think that's the whole point of mixed media, is adding texture, adding some items on there to give it a little bit more interest than it would have with just straight paint. So I think that's what we accomplished here, and I'm enjoying that. Okay, I had a little too much white there. It was just a little too white. Okay, so there we go. So that changed the flower, and I'm going to add a little bit more now that the script is drier. I'm going to add a little bit more dimension to that. Okay. And I'm liking this a lot. Add a little bit to this. Like that. All right, I'm going to add to that. Okay. All right, that's pretty. And I might go back. I think I'm going to go back and add a little bit more of the darker. Add a little bit more of the darker in there. Okay. Really seeing some texture show up now. Okay. That's really pretty. Okay, I don't know how well you can see it. I'm going to hold this up for you. But I'm going to add some more things to it too on the bottom part. Not exactly sure what. I have to give it a minute. Think about it. In the meantime, here is a closer up of the script and a little bit closer up so you can see the butterflies as well. And then here's the flower. Okay, I really think the flower turned out pretty. And I'm going to try to figure out a way of putting some sort of glaze over the butterflies to bring those into as well. Okay. Here I'm going to add glazing medium to yellow ochre. I tested it out to see if it was transparent enough, and it is. I'm going to add that to these flowers to make them blend in better. See, that kind of did the trick. It made them a little more sepia than they were and blend a little bit more into the background. So I did make them pop in a way so that you can see them there when I outline them, but it makes this look a little less like paper blending it in like this with the mix of glazing medium with yellow ochre. And I'm liking the effect of that. So that looks a lot better. I really like that. And I might just add a little bit more yellow ochre to the background to make it look even more like it belongs. I'm going to add a little bit more glazing medium to that as well. I'm going to have to soak my tips of my spouts of my glazing medium. I have to soak that in something because it's getting a little clogged. So, I'm going to have a little more yellow ochre in this than I had on the butterflies. Just feel like I need to have brush a little bit more on here, just randomly. Brush a little bit more on there. Okay. And give a little more light in here. Okay. And I'm also going to have to just put my brush over this one. I have to go over the edges with a little bit more of the green, phthalo green. Clean that up a little bit. Okay. And this is looking a lot better. Okay. Like that. Just cleaning it up a little bit. Giving it a little bit more continuity without changing it too much. Okay. Okay. That looks a lot better. Okay, that looks a lot better. And I'm going to dip into a little bit more phthalo blue for down at the bottom. Phthalo blue with a touch of the yellow ochre that's already in there is going to give me a little bit more of the greenish color that I want to be at the bottom. Gives me much more of a darker green. And it helps me to blend it in a little more at the bottom. You can see that, that's good. Just checking. I'm going to flip this around so I can get that bottom edge. This takes a lot of stress out of it when you get it to the level you need it, especially if you have any kind of pain or stiffness that you have to deal with. Make sure your painting is at a good level for you, so that you don't have to stay in a funny position for a long time. Just dry brushing. Some of this looks like it had light marks on here from maybe rubbing against it. So I'm just dry brushing, making it look a little bit more even, getting rid of the little white dots that were on there. I see some down here. I want to get rid of that. I like the combinations of the green with the yellow ochre. I don't know what it is, but I really like that. Really kind of pretty. A lot of my backgrounds have the wispiness that you see in this one. I just kind of like playing with that. I like doing that in my paintings. And a little bit more, darken it up a little bit. Okay. Flip it back around. Okay, there we go. So I like that. Now I'm going to put a stem on here, now that I have my background in. I'm going to put a stem in here. I decided to add another butterfly at the bottom of this painting to balance it out a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to add some gel. And, well, not gel, this is where I want to add some glazing medium. And yellow ochre. And then glaze over it like I did the other butterflies. So let's do that. Some yellow ochre. There you go. Mixed into the gel. Mixed into the glazing medium. I'm going to paint over this. And I do have to fix that antenna. Just using my finger just to smooth it out a little bit. Okay. Now a little bit more glazing medium. I wanted to add a little bit of texture, more texture in the overall painting. So I found a piece of what is used for packing material by a certain company. It's a paper that is in the form of lace. You see it? It has like a lace pattern to it. And the holes open up, if you stretch it. I balled up a piece of plastic and I'm going to lay that lace over the plastic and use it like a stamp. So I mixed some cadmium red and some red oxide. And I'm painting it over the lace like so. Just going to paint it over here. This is an experiment. I'm very spontaneous with some of the things I do. And if I feel like I've been a little shy, it makes me motivated to go back and add more. And that's just a general thing that I do. And in this case, I feel like I was just too shy for it to be mixed media. So I'm going to add some more texture throughout the painting. I feel like this color combination is going to incorporate more of the oranginess with the pinks, which is not a common color to put together, but I can get away with it because of the cone having orange in it, okay? So I'm going to start up here because I think later I'm going to add more of a, down at the bottom, I'm going to add more of a darker color. So this is what I'm going to do. And I'm even going over the butterflies a little bit because I want this to be layered. It's a little too much, too blobby. Okay. So I kind of dab the yellow. Okay, that's better. I like this. Very pretty. And that evened it up on this side quite a bit. Really did. All right. So I'm going to show you. Bring it a little closer so you can see it. Let's see. There you go. So it's like kind of dots in there. See that? Speckled a little bit. Hope you can see it. Anyway, it gave it a lot more dimension. It really did. It made the butterflies a lot less lonely. And now it incorporated the whole painting, and I think it's beautiful. Well, I guess I shouldn't say it's beautiful, but I like the process. I really did. Okay, thank you.